Welcome to this month's edition of The Calling. This month, I'd like to spend a few minutes reviewing several labor law changes that may impact you. We've seen changes to both state and federal law related to employer-employee relationships, so I'll cover both. Let's start with a few New York changes. Last month, New York State lawmakers came to a final agreement on a budget bill, which contains 3 employment law changes. The first relates to paid prenatal leave. New York will become the first state to mandate paid prenatal leave, requiring employers to provide pregnant employees with 20 hours of paid prenatal leave per calendar year. This mandate is in addition to the state's existing mandatory paid sick leave. The leave can be used for physical examinations, medical procedures, monitoring and testing, and discussions with the healthcare provider related to the pregnancy. The leave can be taken in hourly increments, and this law will take effect on January 1st, 2025. The second new law adds paid break time to the state's existing requirement to provide nursing mothers with unpaid break time to express breast milk. This law requires all employers to provide 30 minutes of paid break time and to allow employees to use other paid break or meal time as extra time each time that employee has a reasonable need to express breast milk. Given that each time language, it is conceivable an employee would be entitled to multiple paid breaks during a workday for this purpose. The paid breast milk expression mandate begins on July 19, 2024. The third law repeals paid COVID-19 sick leave. However, this law doesn't take effect for another 14 months, so paid COVID sick leave continues to be the law of New York State until July 31st, 2025. Now switching to the federal law changes, there are 2 noteworthy changes. The first addresses the standard for classifying whether a worker is an independent contractor. Up until 2021, the Federal Department of Labor applied the economics realities test, which analyzed whether a worker is economically dependent on the employer for work or if they are in business for themselves. Courts considered 6 factors that looked at things like the degree an employer's control over the manner of work performed, the worker's opportunity for profit or loss, the permanency of the working relationship, and whether the services rendered were integral to the employer's business. No one factor controlled the analysis, rather the totality of the circumstances were considered. Then in March 2021, the department changed the long-standing analysis by naming some of the factors core factors, giving them more weight. This resulted in making it easier to classify workers as independent contractors. The new rule rescinds the 2021 rule and returns to the original economic reality standard, which focused on the working relationship between the worker and his or her employer. Under the new rule, the ultimate inquiry is one of economic dependence, meaning whether the worker qualifies as an independent contractor will depend on whether the worker is in business for him or herself. The new rule focuses again on the 6 factors as tools to guide the totality of the circumstances analysis to determine economic dependence. Importantly, the new rule took effect on March 11th. The last change in law addresses overtime and is a topic I covered in my January message. As a reminder, the Department of Labor released a final rule that raises the salary thresholds for overtime exemptions. Employers must therefore either raise the salaries paid to such employees to maintain the exemption or reclassify their positions to non-exempt, paying them an hourly wage and overtime. Here's how it will work. The current salary threshold is $684 per week, which annualizes to $35,568 per year. Beginning July 1st, the threshold increases to $844 per week, which annualizes to $43,888 per year. Then, beginning January 1st, 2025, the threshold increases to $1,128 per week, annualizing to $58,656 per year. Lastly, beginning on July 1st, 2027, and then every 3 years, the salary threshold will automatically update using a methodology in effect at the time for each of those updates. Looking at it through a weekly salary lens, this means a licensed funeral director paid less than $844 per week starting in July will be entitled to overtime. And then starting on January 1st, 2025, a licensed funeral director must be paid at least $1,128 per week to be exempt from overtime. As you can see, the employer-employee landscape continues to be reshaped, and as small businesses, we encourage you to familiarize yourself with them and make any needed changes to ensure you are complying with these.